You know what someone said to me once that I'll never forget? Judge, money wins. It always wins. And I have more of it than you could count in a lifetime. This was back in 1994. I'd been on the bench for 9 years, long enough to think I'd seen every kind of arrogance wealth could produce. But Richard Blackstone proved me wrong in ways I never imagined possible. Picture this man, 62 years old, silver hair, perfectly styled, suit that probably cost more than most people's cars. But it wasn't his appearance that made him memorable. It was the way he looked at everyone else in my courtroom, like they were insects he was considering whether to step on. Richard Blackstone owned half the commercial real estate in downtown Providence, shopping centers, office buildings, luxury hotels, the kind of wealth that gets buildings named after you and politicians returning your phone calls. But on this particular Wednesday morning, he was in my courtroom because his 19-year-old son, Marcus, had killed someone. Not intentionally, though that almost made it worse. Marcus had been driving his father's Lamborghini at 85 miles per hour through a residential neighborhood at 2 a.m., drunk and high on cocaine, live streaming the whole thing to his social media followers. He ran a stop sign and slammed into a Honda Civic. The victim was Elena Rodriguez, 23 years old, nursing student at Rhode Island College, working the night shift at Rhode Island Hospital to pay for school, driving home after a 12-hour shift saving lives, just trying to make it back to her one-bedroom apartment safely. Marcus's Lamborghini was barely scratched. Elena's Honda was crushed like a tin can. She died at the scene. Marcus had been arrested for vehicular homicide while intoxicated, and his father had hired the most expensive legal team money could buy. But the evidence was overwhelming. Security cameras, his own live stream video, blood alcohol 3 times the legal limit. So Richard Blackstone came to my courtroom with a different strategy. Not legal arguments or technical defenses, just raw, naked financial power. The hearing was supposed to be routine, setting bail, scheduling pretrial motions, standard procedures. Marcus sat next to his army of lawyers looking bored, like this was an inconvenience that would be resolved with the right payment. But it was his father's presence that filled the room with tension. Richard Blackstone didn't sit in the gallery with other family members. He positioned himself at the defendant's table, like he was co-counsel, like his money gave him the right to participate in legal proceedings. When I called the case, Marcus's lead attorney, Harrison Webb, $2,000 an hour, former federal judge himself, stood to address the court. Your Honor, my client is prepared to enter a plea of not guilty. We request reasonable bail pending trial. Standard procedure. But before I could respond, Richard Blackstone stood up. Your Honor, he said, not waiting for permission to speak, I'd like to address the court about my son's situation. His voice had that smooth confidence that comes from never being told no. The tone of someone who spent his life getting what he wanted simply by demanding it. Mr. Blackstone, you're not an attorney. Please have a seat. Judge, I understand protocol, but I have information relevant to bail considerations that I believe would be helpful. Information. As if facts about his wealth were somehow relevant to justice. Mr. Blackstone, any information should come through your son's counsel. Please sit down. That's when he gave me a look I'll never forget. Not anger, not frustration, calculation. Like he was measuring me, deciding how much I was worth, figuring out what it would cost to buy me. Judge Caprio, he said, and his voice took on a different quality, still polite, but with steel underneath. Perhaps we could discuss this matter more productively in your chambers. In my chambers, away from public scrutiny, where deals could be made quietly. Mr. Blackstone, we'll discuss it right here, in open court, according to law. His smile never wavered, but something cold flickered in his eyes. Judge, I think you might want to reconsider that approach. In my experience, flexible judges tend to have more opportunities for advancement, while rigid judges sometimes find their careers plateauing in municipal court. The courtroom went dead quiet. Even his own lawyers looked uncomfortable. Mr. Blackstone, are you attempting to influence this court? Judge, I'm simply observing that pragmatic solutions often benefit everyone involved. My son made a mistake, a tragic mistake, but destroying 2 young lives instead of 1 doesn't serve anyone's interests. 2 young lives, as if Marcus's consequences mattered as much as Elena's death. Mr. Blackstone, a young woman is dead because your son chose to drive drunk at 85 miles per hour. Judge, accidents happen. Elena Rodriguez's death was a tragedy, but prosecuting my son won't bring her back. However, my family is prepared to offer substantial compensation to her family, more money than they could earn in several lifetimes. Substantial compensation. He was trying to put a price tag on Elena's life. Mr. Blackstone, criminal law doesn't work that way. Your son's guilt or innocence isn't determined by your bank account. That's when he made the statement that changed everything. Richard Blackstone straightened to his full height, adjusted his platinum cufflinks, and looked me directly in the eye. Judge Caprio, let me explain something about how the world really works. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you're a municipal court judge making $85,000 a year. I make that much before lunch most days. The gallery stirred. Elena's family, sitting in the front row, gasped. I own buildings worth more than this entire courthouse. I employ more people than work for the city of Providence. I pay more in taxes annually than your salary for the next 50 years. His voice got stronger, more confident, like he was delivering a boardroom presentation. So when I tell you that money wins, Judge, I'm not bragging. I'm stating a fact. Money wins in politics. I funded more campaigns than you've heard of. Money wins in business. I've crushed competitors who had better ideas but less capital. Money wins in real estate, in construction, in everything that matters. He spread his arms like he was embracing the world. And money wins in courtrooms, Judge. Maybe not in every case, maybe not immediately, but eventually, money always wins, because people with money hire better lawyers, who find better arguments, who file better appeals, who know better judges. The arrogance was breathtaking, but he wasn't done. My son didn't mean to hurt anyone, but accidents happen, and when they do, people like me fix them. We write checks, we fund foundations, we make problems disappear, because that's how the world works when you have real power. He leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was a confidential tone. Judge, I'm prepared to establish a scholarship fund in Elena Rodriguez's name. Full rides for nursing students. $500,000 annually in perpetuity. More money than her family ever dreamed of seeing. $500,000. Like Elena's life was a business transaction. I'm also prepared to fund courthouse improvements, new technology, better facilities, expanded programs, whatever this court needs to serve the community more effectively. Courthouse improvements, bribes dressed up as civic generosity. Because, Judge, at the end of the day, what matters isn't punishment, it's results. My son will never drink and drive again. The Rodriguez family will be financially secure forever. The community will benefit from improved facilities. Everyone wins. He smiled, that cold, calculating smile. That's how money works, Judge. It solves problems. It creates opportunities. It makes everyone better off. So let's skip the theatrical outrage and find a solution that acknowledges reality. Then came the moment that defined everything that followed. Richard Blackstone walked closer to my bench, close enough that everyone could hear him clearly, and delivered the words that would seal his fate. Judge Caprio, money wins. It always wins. And I have more of it than you could count in a lifetime. So what's it going to take to resolve this matter appropriately? He reached into his jacket and pulled out a checkbook, an actual checkbook